Hey, what's up, Funkheads? I think most people can agree that Stranger Things is one of the best shows to come out in a long time. I know it's one of my favorites. It's extremely popular, so it's no surprise that Funko has made a ton of pops for the show, with multiple versions of the characters from memorable and iconic scenes. It's definitely one of my favorite pop lines, and I do own a lot of them, and it dominates a big part of my collection. So it got me thinking, if I could only keep 5 of my Stranger Things pops, without taking into account rarity or value or anything like that, just based on pure design, how instantly recognizable the characters are, how well it's sculpted, and accurate the pop is. Also, just remember that this is my opinion. You may have a different top 5 than me, and you're more than welcome to let me know what that is in the comments below. This is just my opinion. Before I get into the top 5, I'm going to briefly talk about some honorable mentions. I wasn't expecting to like the character of Bob as much as I did when Season 2 first started, but by the end of it, he became one of my favorite characters, and I'm glad they're finally making some Bob pops. But the one I want the most is Bob dressed up as Dracula. I think the sculptors did a really good job with the hands and the teeth and the cape. It's a great pop and kind of unexpected that they would make this version of Bob. He's definitely going to look cool in my Stranger Things collection. They really nailed the stereotypical 80s bully with Billy, and I really like this version that they picked to make the pop out of, with his leather jacket with no shirt on and fingerless gloves. But the best part about this pop is that hair sculpt. They did an amazing job sculpting that hair. And I even like the fact that the mustache is in a little bit lighter brown, because the actor in the show does have kind of a shitty little teenager mustache. And it was genius to make that just a little bit lighter so it looks like the actor's mustache in the show. I also think that Joyce and Hopper in the biohazard suits look fabulous. Hopper was exclusive to Hot Topic, and Joyce was exclusive to Target. I still need to get that Joyce. I don't think she's too pricey on the secondhand market. I never saw her in stores, but I definitely want to get her to complete my pair. If you look close on the bodies, there's an incredible amount of detail in these pops, and I really like how they sculpted that rubbery material that the biohazard suits are made out of. And I'm also a big fan of pops that have clear or translucent pieces, and these ones look especially cool because you can see the pop face behind the face shield. The only thing I wish they would actually follow through from the glams is to make the face shield a little bit blue, because in the show it does look like it has a blue tint to it, or it's coming from like a little blue light in there. And on the actual pops, it's just clear. It's a very small thing because they still look really cool. Just think that that slight blue tint would have made these perfect. Alright, now on to the top 5, starting with number 5. There are a lot of versions of 11, so in order for the pop to kind of stand out and be special, it has to look very different from the others, which I think this one does. This is her from the scene where she's in the sensory deprivation tank at the research facility. She's wearing the weighted wetsuit and the helmet so she can breathe underwater. And similar to the biohazard version of Joyce and Hopper, the pop head looks really cool behind that bubble helmet that she's wearing. Definitely makes her stand out amongst the other pops. They even sculpted in the little electrodes underneath the helmet, and I like the way her hand is sticking out just like it does in the show where she's pressing it against the glass of the tank. And it looks kind of cool inside of the pop box as well with her hand out like that. Overall, it's a really cool pop. It really stands out in the collection and amongst the other 11 pops. There are 2 versions of Max, and they're both pretty cool, but this is definitely the version I like better because she's dressed as Michael Myers. It's awesome. I love Halloween, and that episode really put a smile on my face, and the fact that Max would choose to be Michael Myers gives you a little bit of insight into her personality and character. And overall, Funko did a really great job with the pop. It's sculpted really well and painted really well, right down to the shoelaces on her Converse. That could have been really sloppy, but for the most part, they looked pretty good. They didn't shy away from actually giving her the knife. And the head and body are completely different sculpts from the Max Common. It's not just like a different body with the same head on it, which Funko tends to do sometimes with different versions of the character. They'll either have the same body or the same head, and they'll just slightly tweak something, but this is a completely new sculpt. When I first saw Steve holding the bat, it was going to be a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, I just knew I had to get him. And I'm glad I got him for retail because this is the most expensive Stranger Things pop now. He costs around $100 now if you want to get him on eBay. And I'm actually surprised he's that valuable now because Hot Topic had him in stock, in store, and online for a good amount of time after the San Diego Comic-Con. I think it's one of the ones that they got the most of. And I guess people just assumed that he wasn't going to shoot up in price like he did because I think a lot of people slept on this pop and are kicking themselves now for not getting it when they could just get it for $15. because now he is pretty pricey. And I can see why. He has a really, really awesome sculpt. That's some of the most amazing hair I've ever seen on a pop. They got the blood just right, and it's on there thick, and just like it looks in the show. They didn't just put a few speckles of blood like they do with some pops. They very deliberately made the patterns look like the way they look in the TV show. They got his clothes just right, and I'm glad they decided to go with this version of Steve, because this is the moment where his character really wins the audience over. I knew I hated Steve at first, but in this episode, when he takes up the bat, he became my favorite character. So I'm really glad they went with this version of him. Whoever sculpted this over at Funko did an amazing job with the Demogorgon. This is one of those pops that when you see it in person, you just want to pick it up and really inspect it for a while, because it's really impressive the way all those teeth look, all individually sculpted, all painted really well. And the texture of the skin is also done really well. There's just a ton of tiny little wrinkles and pores and joints and bones and everything that had to be sculpted in, and they came out really well. And the way that they painted it with the flesh color and the darker kind of brown wash over it makes it look clammy and gross. And they really do justice to the Demogorgon, which was a really inspired and original design for a sci-fi monster. I went to go watch A Quiet Place in theaters, and I kind of feel like that movie ripped off the design of the Demogorgon, because the monsters in that look very, very similar. When I first saw them, I totally just thought, oh wow, look, that's the Demogorgon basically. I really feel that whoever designed the A Quiet Place creature really was inspired by the design of the Demogorgon. This is definitely an eye-catching pop that most people that look at my collection comment on or linger on, because he just really stands out. He's amazing. And of course, you guys probably all guessed it, but the original 11 with Eggos, I think, is the best Stranger Things pop. She looks absolutely perfect. From the little bit of blood dripping down her nose, the scuffs on her face, the fact that she's actually holding a licensed Eggo box and an Eggo, all make this pop extra special. I like the way they sculpted her dress. It's probably her most iconic outfit from the show. And yeah, the chase with the blonde wig is cool, but when I think of 11, I think of her with her super short brown hair. And I feel like this is one of those pops that people that aren't even pop collectors probably buy, just because a lot of people love 11. And this looks just like her. It's instantly recognizable as 11 from Stranger Things. And I feel a lot of people probably think this is the best one, because if you look at Pop Price Guide and you look at the section where you can see how many people on that site mark it as owned, it is the one that has the most people saying that they own it out of all of the Stranger Things pops. So I'm guessing it's pretty popular with collectors and the general public. I wouldn't be surprised if you looked at Funko's numbers, if 11 with Eggos wasn't one of their best-selling pops of all time. It's sculpted well, it's painted well, it's iconic, it's instantly recognizable. The fact that it's a common and you can easily find this out in the wild or order it cheap online is an added bonus. I really do like when the best pops aren't going to break the bank for people. So for all those reasons, that's why I feel like this is the #1 best Stranger Things pop. Alright guys, that was my top 5. Honestly, I feel like almost every Stranger Things pop is done really well, so it's kind of hard to pick this top 5. Let me know in the comments below what order you would put them in. If you agree with my #1 or disagree, what your favorite Stranger Things pop is. If you have a full set, because there's a lot of them. Also, let me know if you have any theories about what Season 3 is going to be like. Or if you thought Season 2 was better than Season 1. Or if Season 1 is still your favorite. Also, what other versions of the characters or new characters would you like to see Funko make? Like, honestly, I really want a Dustin from the school dance where he used Steve's hair tips, because that was freaking hilarious. And I think a pop of Dustin with his hair done up like Steve would be awesome. Also, a version of Dustin wearing the blonde wig. It's a tiny little scene from Season 1, but I think that would be really cool, especially with Dustin holding his hands up. I think that would be a funny pop. I'd also like to see Murray, the reporter that's investigating Barb's disappearance. I thought he was a really eccentric and interesting character, and I really liked him in Season 2. And since he does have very unique hair, you know, he's balding and it's kind of curly and also has the beard, I think it would look good as a pop. And also with those glasses with the yellow tint, it's definitely a pop I would buy. Alright guys, thanks for watching and take it easy.
If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time, if you fall